Hello and welcome to Jank It Up Fuzzball, episode 20. I'm your host Brian, aka Clawdite Jank Shifter. How's it going? It has been a while. I apologize, but it's the middle of summer and it's vacation time. My family, we were gone for about 10 days and then now we're kind of readjusting to life back in Houston. And it's just been one of those things, right? It's just been kind of busy, partially lazy, partially busy. Hustling some freelance design work here and there. And yeah, it's just been how it's been, right? Life sometimes takes precedent over such fun and enjoyable things such as podcasting about a card and dice game. But I'm super excited to be back. I haven't been away from Destiny for that long. I've been playing actually quite a few games between with my son and also with my buddy Greg. And I'm excited to talk about it. So today I'm going to discuss some of the decks I've been playing over the last month or so, and also Greg bought himself a box of Spark of Hope. So rather than split that box and play through it, it's his entire box, but he brought it over and we cracked it and we went through half of it in a battle, a sealed battle using the draft kit. And then after we were done with that, he opened up the rest of his packs. It was pretty fun. And so I'm going to talk to you about his box. A little bit of box envy on my part, but that's fine. I'm a grown man. I'll adjust. And then I want to talk a little bit about, Gen Con was this past weekend. So if you're into competitive Destiny, maybe you paid attention to that, or if you listen to other podcasts, I'm sure the brunt of this week's conversation will be about that. And I have some thoughts. Congratulations to Mike Gemme, of course, for winning with Ewoks. He won Gen Con tournament with a deck that included 0 legendaries. So if you're a casual player like me, you are super excited because you could build that deck for not a whole lot of money. Obviously, piloting it is a whole different conversation, but just building that deck is something that is conceivable for even the most budget-conscious player. And I want to, and I have some thoughts on that. I have some thoughts on maybe how to counter it. Like if I were to counter that using the cards that I have, what would I do? And so I want to talk about that. And then we'll crack a pack. Yeah, let's start with that. I actually want to mention that my son had been on an amazing roll. So if you follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, you've probably seen that. But earlier in the month, every once in a while I buy him a pack. We'll go to Barnes & Noble, so I'll just grab a pack. And seriously, 4 out of 5 packs that he cracked, like randomly bought 5 different occasions, were legendaries. So it was an amazing streak of 4 out of 5. He pulled 2 Chewy's Blasters, 1 Jabba the Hutt from Convergence, and then he pulled a Palpatine from Convergence. So that was really impressive. Now it's since gone away, right? His streak ended, and he's really, really, really cold. I bought him 5 packs at Barnes & Noble for his birthday, which was earlier this month, and 0 legendaries, right? So it was, his moment of glory has passed. But we did get a Convergence First Order Stormtrooper, which I did not have, so I was super excited about that, and that was fun. So on to what I've been playing. My birthday actually was earlier in July, and Greg was nice enough to hook me up with 3 X-Wings. And that gave me a full playset of 4 X-Wings that I could play. So I thought, okay, I want to run a hero vehicle deck, which I used to love, and I just haven't gotten around to playing that. So one of the first things I did, having been gifted the X-Wings, was build a Lora Santeca Clone Trooper and then Elite L337 deck with 4 X-Wings and various other vehicles in it. And I piloted that against my son, and I piloted against Greg, and it was okay. Greg didn't really care for the Lora Santeca aspect. He thought I could probably put in something better, and he's probably right. But I did enjoy that. Anytime you get 3 X-Wings out, it feels really good. It just does, because all of a sudden most of their die sides are 3, and that's exciting. It's exciting to do. So I really enjoy playing hero vehicles. In the way of the Force meta, I enjoyed Rose. I enjoyed, all of that. Resistance bombers, crate speeders. And so X-Wings is really exciting and it's fun to play. But, another red hero deck that I'm playing with right now is Rex Kess, and that's completely different. And that you're action sheeting, it's about speed, it's about trooper synergy. So X-Wings don't really fit into that. So I'm gonna put it on the back burner for now, but I certainly want to come up with a vehicle deck that will do those X-Wings proud. I want to do that for sure. Another deck that I've been playing with and is still sleeved is a Maul deck, new Maul. Now, I did not pull any Maul from my box of Spark of Hope. However, Alan who's a champion of Destiny and a hero to I have a feeling, many players around the country, made a very lopsided trade with me. He got a whole bunch of Jank It Up Fuzzball merch and some select Spark of Hope cards in exchange for Elite Maul, which was more than generous of Alan to do that. I'm super excited. My son has been having a grand old time punching me in the face with that deck, and it's been good. I've beaten Greg a couple times with it, and then he's had some revenge against it, and it's fun to play around with. I first paired him up with Watto, so I wanted to go yellow. I know red is kind of where it's at, so I'm trying to do the opposite, obviously. So I'm trying to work with yellow, trying to find a good partner for him. And I'm starting with Watto, and I've actually put in Bib Fortuna, which sounds crazy, but Bib's special is to roll in a character die, and Maul's character die are just really good. So I'm going to try that. If not, I'll try something else. Who knows? But I'm trying to get yellow to work. I like the idea of active cruelty with a Maul deck because, you resolve Maul's power action, you hopefully spray some damage on a couple of characters, and then active cruelty will... out of hand, that deals additional damage to wounded characters. So I'm interested in that. And Maul is fun. And all the content creators, whether they think he's competitive or not, they agree that he's fun to play. And I agree. So thank you, Alan, for making a rather lopsided trade. Enjoy your Jank It Up coasters and magnets and stickers and things. I also put together a 4-Lom deck with Tobias Beckett. So 4-Lom's 15 Elite and Tobias is 15 Elite. And I had all the best plans in the world because they should be pretty good together. And I just built a crummy deck. I had too many bounties. I played about 4 games with it, all against my son, and it just didn't perform the way it needs to. Right? I just didn't have enough other support dice, and it just didn't go well. And oftentimes I lost a game where I had like 3 or 4 bounties on the board on the other side. I never killed the character to take advantage of them. Or if I did, it was just too little too late. So I like 4-Lom. He's a big, beefy character at 12 health, and he's a bounty hunter, and he's a droid. So he's got lots of things going for him. And I love Tobias. I know everyone's talking Tobias Iden or Tobias Mother Talzin. I like Tobias a lot, and I just need to find a more interesting way to play with him. And lastly, one new deck that I just sleeved up is Phasma. And I pulled a Phasma in my Convergence box way back when. And for my birthday, my son somehow convinced my wife to buy a Phasma card for me. So that's amazing, right? That's a $20-something card. And as you know, as I've talked about, I'm not one to go out and buy a single expensive card. The most I've ever spent on a single card for myself is $6. And I've done that a couple of different times. Back in the day, I bought the Ahsoka Tano lightsaber, and then also, I know it's not called that, by the way, but I just forgot the name of it, Shoto lightsaber. And then also, more recently, I bought a pair of Rex for $12, so 6 apiece. So, I try to be budget conscious. I'm happy to buy packs and sealed product, but I cringe at the thought of going to buy a big card. Like, I would love to have an Entourage, but there's no way I'm going to go spend $30 or $40 on a single card. So the fact that my son, he wanted to do something nice for me, which was really sweet. And so Greg actually assisted in the purchasing of a Phasma, which is awesome. So I've had Elite Phasma. I just now built an Elite Phasma deck. I'll report back on how it does. I still have an Elite Palp deck I need to build. I'm about a set behind. So even though we're in Spark of Hope, I'm really catching up to some of my convergence characters and things to do. So even though I haven't spoken to you in a long time, I have been playing some Destiny, and it's been fun. The game is still just as enjoyable as it's always been. I love playing around with new ideas and new cards and just trying to make things work. But in my casual arena, it's against my son or it's against Greg. So it's, I'm probably the second best player in that group. But sometimes I feel like I'm the third best player in that group, but who knows? Moving on, though, recently Greg bought a Spark of Hope box. And the last 2 sets, so we're talking Across the Galaxy and Convergence, we split a box and then we played through them with 2 different sealed battles. But Greg kind of hinted that he wanted this to be his box. And I was actually I'm totally fine with that, right? Because I have a box of Spark of Hope. And so for Greg to quote unquote catch up in terms of inventory, he would need a box of Spark of Hope. But he was generous enough to let us play through at least half of it. So we had one sealed battle, and then I said, let's play through one, and then at the end of the night, why don't you just go ahead and open the other 18 packs? Because they're all yours, right? Every card we open is Greg's. And so that way he can start building, and we can start doing more constructed play. So this past weekend, Greg came over, and we did that. We did exactly that. We used the Allies of Necessity draft kit. So I was excited to play with that again. And then he cracked open his box. Now, I love sealed. I've talked about this over and over again, right? Greg and I each actually bought a box of Empire at War because it was dirt cheap on Amazon not that long ago. And sometime, I'm sure, over the next couple of months when we get bored with the other things, we're going to do another box tournament, or at least a box battle of Empire at War. And it's going to be great. I love sealed. I love just cracking packs. I love hearing about other people having draft events. Now, I've only done draft, like true draft, where you pick and pass, a couple times with my friends, and it's been fun. But I've done sealed, where it's like, hey, here's some unopened packs, build something, and then fight. I do that a lot. But I love hearing talk of draft. And I've heard about Spark of Hope. I've heard people that have had good draft experiences with Spark of Hope, and I've heard about people that have had it's frustrating because there's a lot of spot and there's not a lot of removal and all that, and that's fine. Just recently, this past week on the Scruffy Looking Dice Rollers podcast, they're a relatively new podcast out of the UK from across the pond. They started their podcast talking about some draft games they've been playing, and that gets me so excited, right? Because I would love to do a draft again, but my meta is too small. I suppose I could drive outside my comfort zone and find that opportunity. But I like the idea of trying to build a team where you're looking at the cards, you make a choice, and then you pass them. That's a little different than what I regularly do. But I love the idea of some kind of sealed where you just show up, you have your draft kit, and then you get some more packs and you play. So in this case, we cracked a box of Spark of Hope, and I grabbed 9 packs, and he grabbed 9 packs, and we cracked them open, and it was cool knowing that none of these were mine, right? It was just, there's no pressure on we weren't playing for anything, right? So normally we would play and you get first pick of the legendaries, but here I knew that everything I cracked didn't belong to me, and that's fine. That's good, right? It takes all the pressure off, and I played, and I thought I played really well on the night, which we'll get into some details of that. But it's just exciting for someone like me to, having gone through a box of Spark of Hope, and then to open up packs and be like, oh, look, you pulled this, and this is not a card I have, and I'm super jealous, and that happened a lot. And it was really, really good. So what was challenging for me was I had 9 packs, and we've talked about how sometimes if you get too many characters and not enough upgrades or supports, that can be frustrating. But out of my 9 packs, I pulled 0 characters. So that was almost a little more challenging. But I tried to write out what I pulled from memory. So I pulled Professor Huang. I pulled Qui-Gon's Spirit, which is a legendary, and happened to be the only legendary that we cracked in our 18 packs of our little battle. I pulled the Jedi Lightsaber. I pulled Mist Hunter. I pulled a B-Wing. I pulled the DX2 Disruptor Blaster Pistol. And I think I pulled the TL50 Heavy Repeater and Chief Chirpa's Hut, and then something else that I just don't remember. But so I got plenty of upgrades. I got plenty of supports. I just didn't get any characters. So that really limited who I could play with. So I had to turn to the Allies of Necessity. You can't run all 3 of those. I had actually sleeved up a deck where I said, I'll just run the plot Allies of Necessity with this 3, and that'd be perfect. And then I remembered, or I should say I read the card, and you have to have at least 2 characters of the same color. So I had to make a choice. And I scrapped red, so I got rid of Fenn Rau. I ran with Dooku, the Outer Rim Outlaw, and for the first time in my life, I played with Clawdite Shapeshifter, which turned out to be a really interesting character to play with. And I ran blue-yellow. Greg, out of his 9 packs, pulled 4 characters, and I believe 7 of his 9 dice were yellow. So as far as characters, he pulled an IG-88, he pulled Chirpa, he pulled Wicket, and he pulled Chopper. And then he pulled just a few upgrades, like Ewok Bow. He pulled a, whatever the robot arm, the mod, grappling arm, I believe it's called. And then he pulled some red dice, which I don't recall. But he had almost too many characters. At the end of that, he also pulled a Hoth Trooper, by the way, which I was super jealous of that as well. So a 5-point red character. But he decided at the end to go with Dooku, Fenn Rau, and Chopper. So those were our teams, and we played through best of 3 as we normally do. And I mentioned earlier, I played really well. I think I did play really well. There's a lot of stuff. Like Dooku has a power action, Outer Rim Outlaw has a power action, so many other. We played with a battlefield that has a power action. There's just so many things to keep track of, and I thought I did a really good job. Having never played with the Clawdite, when you activate the Clawdite, you get to give him a subtype, whatever subtype you want. So that was really interesting. You know, we both chose the Kalman's Cantina from the draft set as our battlefield, so we were always playing on that. And its power action is to reroll a character die, yours or an opponent's. Then you may reroll another die that shares a subtype with that die. So sometimes I would, like if Greg had his hard muscle out, I would activate my Clawdite and call him a scoundrel. That way, if I wanted to, and if he activated the hard muscle, I had an opportunity, assuming I had the battlefield, to maybe reroll his die and then reroll one of my own die with the Clawdite. I also once used the Clawdite. I activated him and named him a Jedi, and then I played, I believe, the Jedi lightsaber on him. Even though he was exhausted, I was able to get 2 shields from that because suddenly he was a Jedi, right? So I think the Clawdite is super interesting. Like I had some cards that were like Spot a Bounty Hunter that I never played because I just didn't have any characters that were bounty hunters. And then halfway through the night, I realized, potentially there's an opportunity if the Clawdite's still around that you could activate the Clawdite, declare him a bounty hunter, and then you'd have the spot requirement for some of these cards or to play a card. So I think Clawdite is super interesting, and I'm going to start looking at him from a standard standpoint. Like maybe I can sneak him in somewhere else, but because there's so many spot opportunities and spot requirements in the latest block of Star Wars Destiny, I think that's something worth looking into. A couple of cards that did some work for me. The Professor did a lot of work. He had some good die sides. Qui-Gon's Spirit did a lot of work. So even though he's a 1-cost blue support, but if you roll a special, you can give a character a shield, then you can basically remove any shields, deal damage. I once did that. I gave the Clawdite a shield, and then I removed that shield to deal 1 lethal damage to Greg's Count Dooku in a game. So that was fun to be able to bust that, and then the Spirit goes back into your deck, so that's also super nice. Mist Hunter I ran, and I got to tell you, that's a horrible dice for me, right? I think every time I naturally rolled the Mist Hunter, I got a blank. Every time. If I activated the Mist Hunter, I rolled a blank. If I discarded to reroll, sometimes, yes, I would get something else, but I swear every time I activated that stupid support, it rolled a blank. So I don't know. So I was happy to give that back to Greg at the end of the night. I said, good luck with that, buddy. Here you go. So that was fun. The DX2 Disruptor Blaster Pistol, super great. If you remember from my last episode, which was a long time ago, that was a card that Trey from Kingwood Hobbies, we were playing in the Seal tournament, and he used that to kill off my old Daka, even though I had her shielded up, because damage from that die is unblockable. And that came in to be really important in our last game. I won the first game, and then Greg came back and won the second game. But the last game, it got down to Chopper and the Clawdite after a back and forth battle. And he had 2 shields on Chopper, and he had 3 health left. And I had the Clawdite with that DX2 Disruptor Blaster and also the Electro Sword. And so through rolling, I rolled a 1 ranged on the Disruptor Blaster, and I resolved that for unblockable damage. And then right at the end, I think Greg was also out of cards in his deck. We weren't sure what to do. I discarded to reroll both my die, and I got 2 indirect on the Clawdite, which would be useless. The shields would have absorbed that, but I got the 2 melee on the Electro Sword, which is unblockable. So that is how the game ended. It was pretty sweet, for sure. Other interesting plays I do want to say was Tireless Pursuit. If you've never heard of Tireless Pursuit, it is a villain yellow event. It is 0 cost. It has ambush, and it says move up to 2 damage from an opponent's character to a character that has a bounty on it. So I played this card twice without having any bounties anywhere on the board. But using the Outer Rim Outlaw's power action, play a yellow card, paying its cost, so its cost of 0. It would not have any effect because I had no bounties to move damage to. But the fact that I played the card gave me ambush, right? So then I would re-roll 3 dice, which is a choice from the Outer Rim Outlaw. And then as my second action that I gained through ambush, I could resolve some of those dice. So if for any reason that's an incorrect play, let me know. But I thought that was a really nifty thing to do. being able to play a card, get the ambush out of it. So in that sense, it was a de facto ambush, but I also got to re-roll the dice from the Outer Rim Outlaw. So twice I did that. It was super handy, I should say. So that was pretty great. So all told, it was a lot of fun. It's always great giving knighthood to Dooku, and then playing the Jedi lightsaber on him, gave him 2 shields, kept him alive a little bit longer. Playing Dooku's lightsaber on him is super fun because then you can discard from the deck. And the 2 times I did that on the night, I discarded a hired muscle once, and then I discarded a sniper team. So both times I pulled really, really good cards for me away from Greg. So it was fun. It was good. Afterwards, though, we're like, hey, there's 5 legendaries left in these 18 packs. And I was really curious about what Greg was going to pull. So we disrupted all of our decks. We pushed everything over to Greg's side of the table, and he just began opening packs. And it was fun. It was the anticipation of, what's going to happen? And so the second legendary he pulled was the Talisman of Resurrection. And I was just kind of like, ooh, man, Qui-Gon Jinn's Spirit and the Talisman. Not a great start. Now, I had pulled the Talisman. I traded it away for a conscript squad, which I'm totally happy with that trade. But, I don't know. I was starting to feel bad. I mean, he got some cool cards. He got a Chirpa, which I would love to have a Chirpa. But, I mean, like, for a legendary, is not the best start. His third legendary, though, was Pulse Cannon. So that is a good card, right? That is something where immediately I was like, that's nice. I would love to have that. I got the Super Laser Siege Cannon, but he got the Pulse Cannon, which is only 3 resources instead of 5, and it's got some pretty awesome power action ability. So I was happy for him at that point. His fourth legendary was Thrawn. So that's cool. I know Thrawn hasn't really found his home yet in hearing some of the competitive talk, but I think Greg can be a very, he can play complicated games, right? He's got the brain to kind of work through and do complicated things. And I know Thrawn allows for some more complicated gameplay. So I think if Greg chooses to build around Thrawn, he'll do just fine, and I'll be pretty scared. And then we got through the rest of his box, and we got down to the last 2 packs, and we were 2 legendaries short. So it's like, man, what I really didn't want to have happen is have Greg's box. And Greg, by the way, is the individual who helps with my surveys and puts all that data together. And for him to end up with a box where there was like only 5 legendaries or some other error would just be bad, right? It'd be a feel bad moment for the night. I mean, I already beat him 2 out of 3, so it's good for me. But, I really needed these last 2 legendaries to be something. And so, second to last pack, he pulled a C-3PO, and that was great.
At last! Where have you been?
I was super happy for him. So between the 2 of us, we each have a C-3PO. So I've already told him, hey, if you ever want to borrow my C-3PO to make a deck, that's fine. So that's good. So we have elite C-3PO between the 2 of us. And on his last pack was Jango Fett. And that's awesome. So it started out to be a really scary looking pack with Talisman and Qui-Gon Jinn, or box, I should say. He managed to pull a Pulse Cannon, Thrawn, C-3PO, and Jango Fett. We didn't see any of those cards in our match earlier, but he did, his box turned out pretty well. Other notable pulls, he pulled a Hoth Trooper, which I told you about. He pulled an Ewok Warrior. So he got Chirpa, a Wicket, and a Warrior. He pulled a couple of the red guns that I don't have. I forget their names. He pulled a Chopper. He pulled a Rey. So I didn't pull either Rey or Kylo, but he pulled a Rey. And then he pulled the Jedi Lightsaber, which I used in our game, but I don't have that either. So he didn't pull a single double rare. So every one of his dice are unique, right? So I pulled a couple of doubles, which happens, right? I suppose. But it's interesting. The fact that even our legendaries, we had 2 overlaps, right? We each pulled a Talisman and we each pulled a C-3PO, but he got 4 different legendaries than I did. And that's cool. It's exciting. It's also, I'm like, man, I'm really jealous of some of the pulls he got. Not just the legendaries, but just some of the rares. And it really underscored, I guess for the first time, splitting a box is different. But here it's like, this is my box and this is your box. And you get to compare. So now I have a better understanding of why people buy multiple boxes. Part of it's just envy, but part of it's just getting the stuff, right? Now, that's a commitment, right? You're looking at anywhere from $80 to $100 for a box. And I love this game, but I don't need this game to become a $500 a year commitment. And I know some people spend $500 almost every set, or every 2 sets. But it really underscored for me just how expansive each set is, and then the distribution of the cards and the packs and all that. It was just interesting. And I don't know. There are a lot of cards that I guess there's still some cards that I want that I don't have. I was excited for Greg, and I was jealous of a lot of the stuff he got, even though I'm sure he's jealous of some of the stuff that I have that he didn't get, right? So it just goes both ways. It was super fun. I'm excited to see what he builds. He didn't, like I said, he didn't get any duplicates, so he has no one at Elite. So I imagine he's going to start hitting the market, trying to find some extra copies of cards so he can start building around it. And it should be good. The future looks good in terms of playing some Spark of Hope against Greg. I think that'll be fun. I'm a little scared of what he might do with Django, or he's got Chirpa and some Ewoks, and I gave him an extra Ewok warrior before he left, because ahead of Gen Con, I went and I wanted to build an Ewok deck of my own. I didn't buy Chirpa, which was a mistake, because I have Elite Wicket, which is not nearly as good perhaps as even single die Chirpa. But I went online and found a bunch of the zombies and the Ewok warriors for $1 a piece. So I bought a good selection of those and gave one to Greg. So now Greg has 2 warriors, Wicket, Chirpa, a Hoth Trooper. So I'm anticipating that maybe he'll throw together. And Greg loves tribal, right? So nothing as great as tribal Ewoks and the Hoth Trooper, I guess. But that should be it should be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of Ewoks, congratulations again to Mike Gemme of the Hyperloops, and thank you to them for streaming Gen Con over Thursday and Friday. I was trying to get things done Friday afternoon, but I was just locked in on the stream watching Mike and his Ewoks just take down so many great competitors. What I think for a casual player like myself, what was most exciting was that he won with a deck with no legendaries, right? All those cards are accessible. Probably the most expensive card in Mike's deck right now, if we went to price it out, is the Hoth Trooper, which just based on scarcity, right? And that's amazing. Now, Bobby Sapphire, Mike, of course, is a super great player. And, I'm sure if you hand that exact deck to other people, they will not do as well. So you got to know how to play it. But it was a lot of fun. It's probably not good for FFG to say, hey, your most successful deck has no legendaries and hardly any dice. I think there were, 3 dice cards in that whole deck. So probably not great for FFG marketing the game, but for a casual player or someone who was doing it sort of on a budget, it was exciting. It was exciting to see that. At that point, though, my mind was whirling. Like, how do you beat this? Like, how would you go about knocking off an Ewok deck or Bobby Sapphire's Ewok deck? And I know in the coming weeks there's going to be lots of talk and lots of tech in terms of making that happen. And even Bobby himself, he released his article today on the Hyperloops, their website, saying that yes, someone's going to find a way to crush this deck. But for me, I'm not going to a tournament where I'll have to play against it. That's not happening. But I just told you how Greg pooled a good suite of cards for an Ewok tribal. And so I need to figure out for my own personal meta, what cards do I have? What would I do? And so I was just thinking, like, what are ways to knock off the Ewoks? Now, I have Fear and Dead Men, but I don't have Vader. Greg has Vader, so I don't think he's going to loan me. He would. Greg would totally loan me his Vader, but I don't think he would loan me his Vader for the express purpose of challenging his Ewok deck. But I was thinking about one of my favorite cards recently is just Act of Cruelty. It's a yellow event where it deals 1 unblockable damage to each of an opponent's damaged characters. Then they have to discard a card from their hand for each defeated character they have. So potentially, if you get an Ewok or 2 dead, then you could, you can actually disrupt their hand a bit. Now, as Mike wrote, most of the cards were damage cards, right? He wanted everything to do damage. A little bit of ramp, but overall, not a lot of mitigation. So I really like Act of Cruelty. And then how else can you spread damage to multiple without Fear and Dead Man, especially if you're already in yellow? I was thinking the V1 Thermal Detonator. Now, it has 2 misses on it, which is never fun. But if you can pop that, you can hit 2 against all the characters, and that would certainly do it. I posed this question on Twitter, just kind of daydreaming about it, and Scruffy-Looking Dice Rollers again commented sudden impact, and that's a red card where you remove a die showing damage, one of your dice showing damage, and then you can deal half that damage rounded up to each of an opponent's characters. So that's another way to kind of spray damage and set up maybe an act of cruelty play. Of course, I forgot about diplomatic protection, and that's a hero upgrade where once that character dies, every other character on that team gets 2 shields, which is a lot of life given back. So, how do you figure that out? How do you fight against that? And, I think maybe a copy of Vandalize. Again, you may have better ideas or different ideas. I'm just going off of cards that I have that I'm ready in my head, ready to do. And I thought Jabba 3, I just told you earlier that my son pulled a Jabba 3, and his ability is after you activate him, you can search, or you can look at the top 4 cards, not search, but you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and choose a yellow bounty or a yellow event and put it in your hand. So Act of Cruelty, you could do that. And if you run Double Down, the plot with Double Down, you could run 3 copies of Act of Cruelty. So, I don't know. Greg does listen to the podcast, so he's probably making notes as I talk about this, but that's something that I would certainly try. If I knew I was going up against a very, very Ewok-wide deck. That's something that I would think about. But congratulations again to Mike. That is really exciting. Congratulations to all the people that played, all the competitors that played. I salute you. As a casual player, I'm not going to be there, right? I'm looking forward to my trip to Worlds, but I'm not going to be in the conversation, obviously, when it comes to crowning a champion. So to see that high level of play over the course of 2 days was a lot of fun. So thank you to all the competitors for doing that. You put Star Wars Destiny on a really, really great stage. I know in that final game there was about 480 viewers of the stream. It's a great number to see. And so I just thank you again to the Hyperloops for providing that stream, and for everyone else involved in that. It was awesome. All right, we're starting to run a little bit long, and so I'm going to crack a pack. And something super exciting, this pack is courtesy Entourage Gaming. If you don't know Entourage Gaming, they are the combination of the Sons of Mandalore and the Outer Rim Smugglers, and they've been cranking out content a lot. It's great, right? There's podcasts, there's articles, there's guest articles. Check them out. And so Rice Man, Matthew Rice, I mailed him some of my alt art. Just I'm a fan of theirs, and they've been really supportive of me. So I just sent him some alt art as just a thank you, and then he in turn sent me some of their alt art and some promos, and this pack, which I'm going to crack in just a second. But I also want to shout out Steven Lanza and Cruisin. They were 2 of the Entourage members who competed at Gen Con. Steven made it to day 2. Congratulations, Steven. That's awesome. Cruisin fell just short. But 5 and 3 is nothing to sneeze at. That's awesome. And, your day will come, Cruisin'. I have no doubt. So here we have a Spark of Hope pack. Again, this is courtesy Entourage Gaming. Please check them out. They do great content. They're a really fun group of people, and I look forward to hanging with them at Worlds. I'm sure they'll be there. So hopefully I can buy them a beer or 2. We will see. So let's open this up. Spark of Hope. It's got C-3PO on the cover. Let's open. We're still looking for that first legendary for the show, and I don't know if this is going to be it. Here we go. It's yellow, and it's a cool character. IG-88, Single-Minded. He is a character, he is a bounty hunter, and he is a droid. Man, I so want this guy to be good, right? I'm excited. I haven't built a deck around him yet, but I'm totally going to do that. Power action. Resolve one of your bounty hunter dice showing ranged or melee damage against any number of characters that have a bounty on them. His die sides are 2 ranged, 3 ranged for $1, 2 disrupt, a resource, and a miss. And his character points are 14 or 17 for elite. So there's been some discussion. If you have, let's say 2 opponents with a bounty and you roll his 3 range for $1, do you have to pay that twice? And the answer has been no, right? You pay to resolve that dice once, and then that single die gets resolved, or that damage doesn't get resolved twice. It gets resolved once for that cost, but the damage gets hit twice to each opponent. So you could pay that 1 resource and deal 3 into each opponent's character that has a bounty. So IG-88, pretty awesome. There have been talks of pairing him with Grievous, some kind of Grievous build. Also with Hask, who's a 13-point trooper. So that is certainly good. But yes, Entourage Gaming, thank you. IG88, I'm super excited to build around this guy. He looks like a lot of fun. All right, what's the uncommon? Well, here we go. It is a downgrade. It is trap. It is ensnare. After attached character is activated, you may discard this downgrade to deal damage to it equal to the number of its character and upgrade dice showing damage. It is a hero card, so it's the kind of the Ewok theme. So ensnare, I pulled 3 traps when I played against Greg. I had 2 net traps, which I used to very good success, and 1 rolling logs. But I did not pull on a snare. So I think this is great. This is a 1-cost trap. Again, after attached character is activated, you may discard this downgrade to deal damage to it equal to the number of its character and upgrade dice showing damage. So obviously you want to put this on a character that has damage potential, not necessarily a support or a resource generating character, and then have some fun with it. All right, so let's move on to the commons. We have, first up, Yoda's Protection. This is a blue hero event. It's got a great picture of Yoda kind of creating a force shield in front of him. Give each of your blue characters 1 shield. So for 1 resource, you could give blue characters a shield. If you're running perhaps Yoda and a couple of younglings, you could start spreading the shields out for 1 resource. I know a lot of people say it's never really a feel-good play to generate shields with cards, but you know, we're in an Ewok meta now, people. We gotta think long term. So this card, Yoda's Protection, could be very, very useful. Next up is a red neutral event called Seizing Territory. Ambush. After you play this card, gain 1 action. Spot a trooper to take control of the battlefield. So there's a lot of cards that rely on you controlling the battlefield. Imagine you want to play Fresh Supplies, which allows you to gain a resource if you control the battlefield. You could Seizing Territory, get the battlefield. It has Ambush, then you could play your Fresh Supplies to get that. We just mentioned Hask, so it is neutral. This card is neutral, so Hask, if you control the battlefield, you can power action him to roll a trooper die in your pool. So again, pretty cool artwork on this card too, as the clone trooper is descending from a ship. Very cool. Seizing Territory. Last up, always a card of much discussion, Desperate Measures. It is a 0-cost yellow villain event. Spot a yellow character to discard a support from play, then deal indirect damage to yourself equal to the cost of that support. So there's going to be a lot of talk this week, I think, in the coming weeks about Desperate Measures. It's limited to yellow villain, and we didn't see a whole lot of yellow villain at Gen Con, but I know that I play a whole lot of yellow villain, right? Maul, Bib Fortuna is certainly yellow. I mentioned how I built a Tobias deck with that. I have an Afra deck as well that I haven't really played with a lot, but it's Afra, Faust, and Watt. So Desperate Measures is in there as well. I'm excited. This is my 3rd copy, but I think that because I'm playing so much yellow, it's just a pain to kind of pull cards out of one deck and slot them to the other. So this is awesome. So let's recap. And again, Entourage Gaming, thank you for the pack. The rare was IG88, Single-Minded. It is yet another yellow card. So I think I'm 20 episodes in and probably half are yellow. But I'm excited for this character. That is the rare. The uncommon is Ensnare. It is a 1-cost yellow hero trap. And then the 3 commons, 1 in each color. We have Yoda's Protection in blue. We have Seizing Territory in red. And we have Desperate Measures in yellow. A hero, a neutral, and a villain card, respectively. So Entourage Gaming, Matthew, thank you so much for that pack. That is awesome. You guys are doing great. Keep it up, right? If you're not following their content, do yourself a favor. There are so many unique voices in the Star Wars Destiny content creator community. They are certainly there as a unique voice. They're all great, but they're all different, which makes it really special. And check them out, Entourage Gaming. EntourageGaming.com is their website. You can find them on all the social medias as well. Give them a follow. That would be great. All right before we wind down, I want to mention that before kind of early July, I did a soft opening of my Jank and Fuzzball store on my website. It's not there, so don't rush out and see it. But I sold packages of stickers, magnets, and coasters. They all feature the Jank logo, which has the word Jank on top of 4 cubes, blue, yellow, red, and gray. And thank you for anyone that made those orders during that soft opening. I appreciate it. Your support is very, very much appreciated. It's very meaningful, and it allows me to do things like pay for my hosting of the website. I just got billed that for the month, and every little bit helps. And I am going to have that store back online, but the biggest issue here is I'm down to 4 stickers. Right when I ordered my stickers, I ordered it through Sticker Mule. And these things are fantastic. Sticker Mule did great, but it was kind of a test run. You got like 10 stickers for $1, which is amazing. And I only have 4 stickers left. And so what I thought I would do for these 4 stickers, I'm going to give these away. And I'm going to order some more. I also have coasters. They're amazing. So if you want some coasters to set your beer on, let me know. And I'm happy to sell you some of those. And I should mention also, anyone that had ordered or placed an order, not only did you get some of the merch, you also got some of the alt art, right? So I have 3 alt art cards that I have designed in print. I have Legacy's Maul, I have Fatal Blow, and I have Hired Muscle. And so once my store opens back up, once I get some more stickers in stock, then any purchases, not only are you supporting the community and you get some Jank It Up swag, you will also get alt art. I'm not going to sell them directly. Some people have asked, can I buy the alt art? And the answer is no. But if you buy something else, you get the alt art as a way of me saying thank you for the support. However, I have 4 stickers to give away, and this is what I want to do. If you watch the stream at all, hashtag clock was really funny. It was I can't explain it. I'm not going to try to explain it, but people saying clock and then not hashtag clock, but exclamation point clock was really great. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is let's give it a week, right? So whatever day this releases on, 7 days later, I'm going to select some winners. So to enter, if you just want me to mail you a free 3-inch Jank sticker, all you have to do is go on to one of our social media. So on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Every time I release an episode, I post something about the episode on those 3 avenues. And so if you will just reply or make a comment to those with exclamation point sticker, it'll bring a huge smile to my face, and then I will enter you. And 7 days after the release of this episode, from all the entries, I will select 4 winners, and then I will reach out to you and ask you for your mailing address, and I will drop one of these stickers in the mail to you. So let's say you follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Are you allowed to enter 3 different times? Absolutely, right? Once per platform. But if you follow me on Facebook and you want to enter, then please do it. If you follow me also on Twitter and you want to re-enter a second time, please do it. You'll get 2 entries in the raffle here, and that's fine. And I just thought it'd be fun, right? I only got 4 of these. Let's give them all away before I order some more in, and I think it'd be fun. Exclamation point sticker, right? So don't share that, right? Listen to this podcast, absorb all the knowledge and information I've dropped, and then if you wanna get a sticker, that's how you do it. So it's been a while. I've missed talking to y'all, even though I know it's mostly me shouting into a microphone, but I like having that out there. My last episode, Pendants on Zombies, is the most listened to Jank It Up Fuzzball episode to date. And I just want to say thanks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me a chance. I know this podcast is different than some of the other more competitive podcasts, but I hope for some of you, it's the podcast you need every once in a while. When you want to take a break from talking about competitive games or the competitive scene or the meta or whatever it is, thank you for letting me fill some of that void. I do appreciate it. This has been episode 20 of Jank It Up Fuzzball. Please do me a favor. Play some Jank, roll some dice, and have some fun. We will talk very soon, I promise. Have a great one.